You were built for much more. Stop hiding. Your hunger. Stop. Don't scroll. Freeze. Right now, there is a thickness in the air around you, a mental static that wasn't there 10 minutes ago. You feel a sudden, sharp irritability, a heaviness on your mind that makes the very walls of the room feel like they are leaning in. There is a restlessness in your hands, a feeling on edge, as if you are waiting for a blow to land from a direction you cannot see. You're wondering how this is so specific. It is specific because you are not experiencing a random shift in mood. You are experiencing a targeted frequency meant to drown out a signal that is trying to reach you. Before we move into the strategic intelligence and the weaponry you need for this hour, we are establishing a perimeter of clarity. We do not move without alignment. Comment the code word awake. Then reply to your own comment with the word received. Finally, find one other person in this thread and reply to them with these exact words: I'm standing with you. This is your first act of enlistment. This is how we clear the air and prepare for the instruction that is coming. God says your dissatisfaction is not a flaw in your character, but a feature of your design. You have been sitting in the quiet of your home, perhaps staring at a cup of coffee or looking out a window. And instead of peace, you felt a violent pull towards something else. It is a hunger that feels almost dangerous. You have been told by the world, and even by the religious structures around you, that you should simply be grateful that wanting more is a sign of a lack of faith, or that your restlessness is a mark of instability. But hear this: the ache you feel is the measurement of your capacity. God says that He did not build you to be a cup that is easily filled. He built you to be an expansion-class vessel, a reservoir designed to hold the weight of a kingdom mandate. The warfare you are experiencing right now, the confusion, the mental fog, the sudden feeling that you are too much for the people around you, is a tactical suppression meant to keep you from realizing that your hunger is actually a divine compass. This is your confirmation that the pull you feel toward the more is not coming from a place of greed, but from a place of destiny. Imagine a ship built for the open ocean, a massive hull designed to break through polar ice and navigate waves the size of buildings. Now imagine that ship is docked in a shallow, decorative pond in a city park. The ship is safe. The water is calm. There are no storms, but the ship is groaning. The metal is straining. The engine is running hot, even though it isn't moving. To an observer, the ship looks ungrateful. Why can't it just enjoy the calm water? Why must it vibrate with such intensity? The ship isn't being difficult. It is reacting to the fact that its depth is being insulted by its environment. You are that vessel. You have been trying to dock your expansion-class spirit in a pond-sized life. And the resulting friction is what you have been calling anxiety or unhappiness. God says the pressure you feel is the call of the deep. Hear this: the enemy is terrified of your expansion, so he has labeled your hunger as dissatisfaction to make you feel guilty enough to shrink. This is the first tactical reality you must grasp of the enemy's primary weapon against the chosen remnant. In this season is the fog of false contentment. He wants you to believe that if you just lowered your expectations, you would finally find peace. But that peace would be the peace of a grave, not the peace of a kingdom. This is why when you sit in reflection, you don't feel a gentle nudge. You feel a roar. You feel a dissatisfaction that scares you because it feels like it might consume everything you've worked so hard to build. God says, do not fear the fire of that hunger. That fire is meant to burn away the structures that are too small to hold your future. This is your confirmation that the discomfort you are feeling in your current skin is the evidence that you have already outgrown it. You are not losing your mind, you are losing your limitations. Let us look at a micro scene that has been playing out in your life recently. You are at a social gathering, or perhaps just a dinner with friends or family. The conversation is light, the environment is blessed, and by all accounts, you should be happy. But as you sit there, a sudden wave of mental static hits you. The voices around you begin to sound like white noise. You feel a tightness in your chest, a desperate need to get outside, to be alone, to breathe. You feel an irritability toward people who haven't done anything wrong. You leave feeling exhausted not because of what happened, but because of the energy it took to keep your spirit small enough to fit in the room. This is spiritual warfare through environmental mismatch. The enemy uses these moments to whisper to you that you are the problem, that you are becoming difficult or arrogant. God says you are not becoming arrogant. You are becoming aware. You are sensing the ceiling, and your spirit is reacting to the confinement. Hear this: your hunger is a piece of spiritual weaponry. When the enemy tries to dampen your drive, he is trying to disarm you. An expansion-class vessel that is content with a small, quiet, invisible life is a vessel that poses no threat to the darkness in their region. But a vessel that embraces their hunger becomes a conduit for the more of God to enter the earth. This is why the warfare has been so heavy on your mind. The enemy wants to turn your gaze inward so that you spend all your energy trying to fix your restlessness, instead of using that restlessness to build the territory God has assigned to you. God says, stop trying to heal the hunger and start following it. This is your confirmation that the very thing you thought was a weakness is actually the engine of your breakthrough. The first tactical step in this protocol is the separation of the divine pull from the demonic pressure. The enemy's pressure feels like a weight on your shoulders, a have-to that leads to burnout. It feels like a frantic need to prove yourself. But the divine pull, the expansion hunger, feels like an I must that comes from the center of your chest. It is a steady silver edge of truth that says there is a land you haven't seen yet, and you cannot rest until your feet are on its soil. God says, look at the restlessness and ask, does this lead me to prayer or to panic? If it leads to panic, it is the enemy's static. If it leads to a sober, steel-gray determination to move forward, it is the hand of the Father. This is your confirmation that the clarity you seek is found in the movement, not in the sitting still. Consider the analogy of the map. You have been given a map of a continent, but you have been living as if you only have a map of a single room. Every time you try to look at the borders of the continent, the enemy throws dust in your eyes. He makes the air feel heavy. He makes your sleep restless. He makes you feel like a traitor for wanting to leave the room. Why? Because the room is where he can control the narrative. The room is where you are predictable. But out on the continent, in the expansion, you are a general. You are a threat. God says the fog is clearing today. Hear this: you are being authorized to desire the too much. You are being given permission to be the expansion-class vessel you were always meant to be. The guilt you have been carrying for wanting more is a chain that we are cutting right now with the silver edge of truth. You've been wondering how this is so specific. It's because the Holy Spirit has seen you in those late night hours, pacing the floor, wondering why you can't just be normal. You've looked at people who seem perfectly happy with a simple, quiet life, and you've envied them while simultaneously knowing you could never be them. God says that envy is a lie. You weren't made for their peace. You were made for the peace that surpasses understanding in the midst of a battle for territory. This is your confirmation. Your lack of normality is your greatest strategic advantage. The mental static you've been feeling is the sound of the old frequency trying to hold onto a vessel that has already begun to shift its alignment. Let's look at another micro scene. You are trying to pray or meditate, trying to find that quiet place everyone talks about. But as soon as you close your eyes, your mind begins to race with ideas, strategies, and a sense of urgency. You feel like you should be still, but your spirit feels like it is sprinting. You leave the prayer closet feeling more frustrated than when you entered. The enemy tells you that you are failing at spirituality. God says you are not failing. You are transitioning from a seeker to a builder. You are an expansion class vessel, and your stillness will often look like a high-speed orbit. Hear this: God is not offended by your momentum. He is the one who gave you the engine. The warfare in your prayer life is an attempt to make you think you are disconnected, when in reality you are being recharged for a level of output you haven't seen before. God says that in this hour He is removing the governor off your engine. A governor is a device that limits the speed of a vehicle, regardless of how much power the engine has. You have had a spiritual governor on your life, partly placed there by the expectations of others, and partly by your own fear of being too much. The enemy has used that fear to keep you in a low gear. But this is your confirmation: the governor is being snapped off today. The sudden surge of energy you feel, the sudden irritability with the status quo, is the engine finally being allowed to run at its true capacity. Do not try to slow down. Do not try to go back to the lower gear. The heat you feel is the friction of the breakthrough. This is your first tactical weaponry for the next 24 hours. When the heaviness or the irritability hits, do not retreat. Do not go lie down and wait for it to pass. Instead, get a piece of paper or a digital note and begin to write down every more that you have been afraid to voice. Write down the expansion you see for your family, your finances, your influence, and your spirit. As you write, you will notice the mental static begin to fade. Why? Because the enemy cannot maintain the fog when you are actively charting the territory. The static only works when you are stationary. When you start to move, the signal clears. God says the act of writing it down is an act of spiritual mapping. It is the first step in claiming the ground the enemy has tried to keep hidden from you. Hear this. The unseen pressure you have been feeling is the atmospheric pushback against your growth. Whenever an object moves through the air at high speeds, it encounters resistance. If you weren't moving, you wouldn't feel the pressure. The fact that the pressure has increased is proof that your speed has increased. You are not under attack because you are doing something wrong. You are under attack because you are finally doing something right. God says, lean into the wind. This is your confirmation that the resistance is the evidence of your progress. The steel gray realism of this battle is that it will not always feel holy or peaceful. Sometimes it will feel like a fight for your very breath. But you were built with the lung capacity of a giant. The deep purple of discernment is being poured out on you now. You're starting to see the traps before they spring. You see the bait of the small, safe opportunity that would take up all your time and leave you no room for the expansion. You see the noise of the petty arguments meant to drain your emotional reserves. This is your weaponry, the ability to say no to the good, so that you can say yes to the mandatory. God says you are being given a silver edge to cut through the entanglements of people-pleasing. You no longer have the luxury of being liked by everyone if it means you must remain small to keep them comfortable. The expansion class vessel is often a lonely vessel until it reaches the deep water where the other giants are. Do you feel the shift in the room as you hear these words? The heaviness is starting to lift because the truth is being articulated. The enemy hates it when the chosen one learns the name of the game. The game was to make you think you were broken so that you wouldn't realize you were being upgraded. But God says the upgrade is complete. The software of your spirit has been updated to handle a higher level of complexity, a higher level of blessing, and a higher level of warfare. Hear this: you cannot go back to the old version of you. That version of you is gone. The restlessness you feel is the new you trying to figure out how to operate the controls. Consider this micro scene. You look at your bank account, your home, or your current career. It is enough. You have everything you need. But there is a voice in your head that says, this isn't it. There is more. Then immediately, another voice says, you are so ungrateful. People are starving, and you're complaining about this. That second voice is the enemy using a religious mask to keep you from the expansion. God says, look at the first voice. That voice is not about greed. It's about the fact that your current level of resources cannot fund the level of impact He has planned for you. You aren't asking for more for yourself. You are asking for more for the assignment. This is your confirmation that the more is a kingdom requirement. The tactical instruction here is to stop apologizing for your appetite. A lion does not apologize for its hunger. It is simply part of being a lion. An expansion-class vessel does not apologize for needing a larger harbor. God says, I am the one who gave you the appetite, and I am the one who will provide the feast. But you must be willing to leave the table of the small things. You must be willing to let go of the pond to find the ocean. The steel-gray discipline you need right now is the discipline to stay focused on the horizon, even when the waves in the pond are trying to convince you that you're in a storm. You aren't in a storm. You're just making waves because you're too big for the water. Every 6 to 10 sentences, I want you to remember this. God says, you are His chosen remnant. This is not a title of pride, but a title of responsibility. Being chosen means being drafted into a higher level of operation. The mental static, the irritable spirit, the restless sleep, these are the symptoms of a spirit that is being called to scramble like a jet on a runway. The alert has been sounded. You are being called to the cockpit. This is your confirmation. The normal life you've been trying to live is no longer an option. The bridge has been burned. The only way is forward into the expansion. God says, look at your hands. They were made to build things that last. Look at your mind. It was made to solve problems that others run from. Look at your heart. It was seed to carry the weight of many. This is why the warfare has focused on these areas. The enemy tries to make your hands idle, your mind confused, and your heart heavy. But today, we are applying the silver edge of truth to those chains. Hear this, the pressure is being redistributed. It is no longer pressing in on you. It is now the steam inside your engine pushing you outward. As we move deeper into this intelligence, realize that the expansion you feel is not just about stuff. It is about space. Space to breathe space, to think space, to move without hitting a wall. The enemy loves walls. He loves boundaries that he didn't set, but that you accepted. God says, I am the one who sets the boundaries of your habitation, and I am moving the stakes outward. I am enlarging the place of your tent. This is your confirmation. The stretching you feel is uncomfortable because your old fabric is being pulled to its limit. But I am giving you a new fabric, a new strength, a new resilience. Think of the silence you were sitting in when this started. That silence wasn't empty. It was pregnant. It was a deep purple silence full of the unseen pressure of God's next move. You felt it as a negative because you didn't have the framework for it. But now you do. That pressure is the Spirit of the Lord hovering over the deep, preparing to speak light into your next season. God says, do not interrupt the silence with your own noise. Let the expansion happen in the quiet before the manifestation happens in the loud. This is your tactical boundary. Protect your quiet time, but don't use it to relax. Use it to rearm. The enemy's tactic is to make you think that the more you want is a sign of being unspiritual. He points to the desert fathers or the vow of poverty and tells you that your desire for expansion is worldly. But God says, I am the one who told my people to occupy until I come. I am the one who said the earth is mine and the fullness thereof. Here, this expansion is a form of worship when it is done in obedience. Every inch of ground you take is an inch of ground the enemy loses. This is your confirmation. Your success is a weapon. Your influence is a shield. Your expansion is a victory for the kingdom. I want you to hold this image in your mind as we prepare for the next phase of this protocol. You are standing on the edge of a great cliff, looking out over a vast, unclaimed territory. The wind is whipping against your face, and it's cold. Behind you is the small, warm village where you have lived your whole life. The people in the village are calling out to you, telling you to come back, telling you it's dangerous out there, telling you that you're being unreasonable. But you can't go back. Not because you don't love them, but because you can no longer fit through the gate. You have become too large for the village. God says, do not look back with regret. The village served its purpose. It kept you safe while you were growing. But now you are a general, and a general needs a battlefield, not a backyard. This is your confirmation. The loneliness you feel is actually elevation. You are being moved to a higher altitude where the air is thinner and the view is wider. The static you hear is just the sound of the clouds passing beneath you. Stop trying to hear the voices from the village. They don't have the map for where you are going. Hear this, the next 24 hours are critical. The enemy will try to reassert the old frequency. He will try to bring a situation across your path that makes you feel small again. Perhaps an old debt, a nagging criticism, or a sudden technological failure. When it happens, I want you to stand still. Take a steady breath of that steel gray air and say out loud, I am an expansion class vessel. I do not fit in this trap. God says that when you speak your identity into the atmosphere has to realign. This is your weaponry, the spoken word of alignment. We are stopping here mid-arc because your spirit needs to process the weight of this identity shift. You're no longer a struggling believer trying to find enough. You are a divine general acknowledging your capacity. The hunger is not your enemy. It is your herald. It is announcing the arrival of the more. Stay vigilant. Keep the perimeter clear. The next level of intelligence is coming, but for now, you must sit with the reality that you were built for the open ocean. God says, do not be afraid of the deep. I am the one who made the water. I am the one who made the ship. And I am the one who is calling you out of the harbor. Hear this, the journey has already begun. The fact that you are still listening is the proof that your spirit has recognized the signal. You are being armed. You are being awakened. You are becoming the expansion you were always meant to be. This is your confirmation. This is your moment of transition. Stay steady. Stay armed. We are only just beginning to see what you are truly capable of. The escalation is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of proximity. As you begin to accept your identity as an expansion class vessel, the spiritual atmosphere around you is reacting to the change in your internal volume. Think of it like a jet breaking the sound barrier. The loudest, most violent shaking happens right before the breakthrough into the silent, smooth air of high-altitude flight. You are currently in the shaking. You are feeling the rattle of every loose bolt in your life, every relationship that isn't torqued to the right specification for this speed, and every habit that was designed for a lower velocity. God says, do not try to slow down to stop the shaking. The shaking is not meant to break you. It is meant to shake off everything that cannot survive the destination. This is your confirmation that the intensity of the friction you are feeling in your mind and your spirit is the proof that you are finally moving fast enough to matter. Hear this. The enemy's primary mechanism in this phase of your escalation is the mirror trap. He knows he cannot stop your growth, so he tries to make you afraid of the person you are becoming. He takes the deep purple of your growing discernment and tries to paint it as judgmentalism. He takes the steel gray of your new boundaries and tries to label it as coldness. Have you noticed a recent trend where people from your past, or even people currently in your circle, are suddenly bringing up the old you? They mention a mistake you made years ago, or they use a tone of voice that implies you are still the person who needed their permission to move. This is a tactical reflection. The enemy is using them as mirrors to show you a version of yourself that no longer exists, hoping you will see the reflection and subconsciously shrink back to fit it. God says, look past the mirror and see the hand of the one holding it. This is your weaponry, the refusal to identify with a ghost, with a, let's look at a micro scene that has likely occurred in the last week. You are in a conversation with someone you've known for a long time. You mention a new idea, a new direction, or even just a shift in your perspective. There is a beat of silence, and then they offer a concerned warning. They say something like, don't you think you're getting a bit ahead of yourself, or just make sure you stay humble. It feels like a bucket of cold water on a hot engine. You feel a sudden surge of steel gray irritability because you know their concern is actually a cage. But then you feel a wave of guilt. You wonder if they're right. You wonder if your hunger is just pride. Hear this, that guilt is the bait. The enemy uses the humility of others to try and shame the magnitude of God in you. God says true humility is not staying small. True humility is being exactly as large as He told you to be. Your expansion is an act of obedience, and you do not need permission from those who are content to stay in the harbor. God says you are entering the season of the clean cut. The silver edge of truth is not just for your enemies, it is for your entanglements. You have been carrying emotional luggage for people who refuse to pack their own bags. You have been the spiritual and emotional support system for individuals who use your strength to avoid finding their own. In the lower gears of your life, you could handle the extra weight. But at this speed, the drag is becoming lethal. This is your confirmation. The sudden heaviness you feel when certain names pop up on your phone is not a lack of love. It is a spiritual warning. The expansion class vessel cannot afford to be a tugboat for the unwilling. You must be willing to release the tow lines so that you can reach the speed required for the next mandate. This isn't about being mean. It is about being aligned. Consider the mechanism of false urgency. Have you noticed how, as soon as you decide to focus on your expansion, 5 emergencies break out in other people's lives? Your phone starts blowing up with drama that has nothing to do with you, but everyone seems to think you are the only one who can fix it. This is a tactical diversion. The enemy knows that your most valuable asset is your focused attention. If he can keep you running in circles, trying to put out other people's fires, you will never have the time to build your own altar. God says, let the fires burn. If I didn't call you to the fire, I didn't give you the water to put it out. This is your tactical protocol when a crisis arrives that is not your assignment. You must apply the steel gray boundary of silence. You are not a 911 operator. You are a general. A general does not leave the war room to go help a private find his socks. Hear this. The mental static you've been experiencing is often the result of interference patterns. This happens when you are trying to broadcast on a high-frequency kingdom signal while still trying to listen to low-frequency worldly chatter. You're trying to read the blueprints for a skyscraper while also scrolling through the opinions of people who live in mud huts. The dissonance is what is creating the restless sleep and the chest tightness. God says, clear the airwaves. You have to go into a season of selective deafness. This is your confirmation that your need for solitude is not a sign of depression. It is a sign of signal optimization. You need to get away from the noise so you can hear the specifics of the expansion. The deeper the call, the quieter the room needs to be. Let's look at another micro scene. It's late at night and you are exhausted, but your mind is electrified. You are pacing the floor and you feel the silver edge of clarity about a move you need to make. It's a bold move, a move that would change everything. But as soon as you sit down to plan it, a voice whispers, "Who do you think you are?" You're just insert your old identity here. This is the identity anchor. The enemy tries to hook your expansion to your past so that you can't sail. God says, I have renamed you. You are no longer the person who failed. You are the person who survived the failure to be trained for the victory. Hear this, the enemy is not attacking who you were. He is attacking who he sees you becoming. The intensity of the attack is the proof of the greatness of the arrival. God says that in this hour, he is giving you strategic scribe eyes. You are going to start seeing the underlying structures of your life. You will look at your schedule and see not just tasks, but energy leaks. You will look at your business or your ministry and see not just activity, but structural weaknesses. This is the deep purple of discernment. You are being given the intelligence to fix the vessel while it is in motion. This is your confirmation on the reason you've been feeling dissatisfied with things that used to work is because I am showing you where the cracks are. Don't be frustrated by the cracks. Be grateful for the sight. I am allowing you to see the weakness now, so it doesn't cause a collapse later. Hear this, the enemy's tactics are becoming more subtle because you have already defeated his obvious attacks. He can't get you with blatant sin anymore, so he tries to get you with noble distractions. He tries to get you to take on good projects that are not God projects. He tries to get you to mentor people who aren't ready to be mentored. He tries to get you to overinvest in relationships that are already dead. This is resource drain warfare. God says your time and your energy are kingdom currency. Stop spending it on things that don't have a kingdom return. This is your weaponry, the holy no. When you say no to the distraction, you are saying yes to the expansion. Think of the steel gray realism of this battle. It's not about shouting at demons. It's about the disciplined management of your own spirit. It's about the steady breath you take when someone insults you. And instead of reacting, you realize that their insult is just an attempt to pull you back down to their level. You don't react because you are too busy ascending. God says, I am teaching your fingers to war and your hands to fight by teaching you self-mastery. The expansion class vessel is not just larger, it is more controlled. You are becoming a person of such gravity that the noise of others no longer affects your orbit. This is your confirmation. Your new calm is actually your new power. Let's talk about the bait of false urgency in a micro scene. You get a message or an email that demands an immediate response. It's framed as a disaster, but as you read it, you feel that deep purple discernment telling you it's a trap. The person is trying to transfer their anxiety onto you. In the past, you would have stayed up all night trying to solve it. But today, God says, put the phone down. The world will not end if you sleep. The urgency is a demonic frequency meant to keep your nervous system in a state of high cortisol so that you can't hear the still, small voice of strategy. Hear this: the most spiritual thing you can do right now is to remain unhurried. Your peace is a weapon that disarms the enemy's chaos. God says you are a remnant architect. You aren't just building a life. You are building a blueprint for others to follow. This is why the warfare is so targeted. If the enemy can mess up your blueprint, he can mess up everyone who will eventually build based on your life. This is your confirmation. The high stakes you feel are real. But you are not carrying the weight alone. I am the chief architect, and you are the strategic scribe. I am the one who provides the materials. You just have to stay in alignment with the plan. The pressure you feel is the weight of the glory that is being built into the structure of your character. Consider the mechanism of comparison. The enemy loves to show you someone else who seems to be expanding faster than you, but without the warfare. He shows you the pond dwellers who look happy and blessed. He whispers, "Why is it so hard for you? Maybe you're not chosen. Maybe you're just broken." God says, do not compare your ocean crossing to their pond floating. They are not encountering the same resistance because they are not moving in the same direction. They are not a threat to the darkness, so the darkness leaves them alone. You are a threat. Hear this: the intensity of your battle is the highest compliment the enemy could ever pay you. He doesn't waste his best weaponry on average targets. The silver edge of your boundaries needs to be applied to your own thoughts as well. You have been bullying yourself with the voice of your old critics. You have been taking the things that were said to you in your childhood, or in a toxic marriage, or by a failed leader, and you have been repeating them as if they are the word of the Lord. God says that is internal treason. You are siding with the enemy against your own destiny. This is your weaponry, the sober clarity to identify a lie the moment it enters your mind. When the thought says, "You're going to fail," you answer with, "Even if I fall, I will rise, for the Lord is my strength." You don't argue with the lie. You replace it with the steel gray truth. Look at another micro scene. You are looking at your capacity, your time, your money, your skills, and you are feeling small. You feel like an expansion-class vessel that is out of fuel. The enemy tells you that you've reached your limit. But God says, I am the one who increases the capacity of the vessel as it moves. You don't get the fuel for mile 10 while you are still at mile 1. You get it as you go. This is your confirmation. The lack you feel is an invitation to rely on my abundance. The expansion is not fueled by your effort. It is fueled by your surrender to the call. Hear this: as you step out, the resources will rise to meet you. This is the deep purple intelligence you need for the mid-arc of this battle. The enemy is trying to get you to abort the expansion before it becomes visible. He knows that once your new level of life is established, it will be much harder to tear down. So he is attacking you in the transition phase, the place between the no longer and the not yet. This is the most dangerous part of the journey. It's where the fog is thickest and the fatigue is highest. God says, do not stop in the transition. This is not your home. This is just the corridor. Keep moving. The silver edge of your purpose will cut through the fog, and if you just keep your feet moving forward. Hear this: your irritability is often spiritual indigestion. You're trying to swallow too much of the world's noise, and it's making you sick. God says, go on a fast of the ears. Stop listening to the experts who haven't been where you are going. Stop listening to the news that is designed to keep you in fear. Stop listening to the opinions of people who don't have a stake in your future. This is your confirmation. Your spirit is craving a higher quality of input. Feed it the word, feed it silence, feed it strategy. The static will clear as soon as you change the diet. God says, I am the one who hardens you for the battle. This is the steel gray work. He is making you tougher than your circumstances. He is making you resilient enough to handle the pressure of the expansion. You've been asking for it to get easier, but God says, I am making you better. An expansion class vessel doesn't need a calmer sea. It needs a stronger hull. This is your confirmation. And the hard things you have been through were the stress tests for the hull. You didn't break then, and you won't break now. You are ready for the open ocean. Let's look at the protocol of the threshold. Every time you're about to cross into a new level of expansion, the enemy will send a guardian of the gate. This is usually a person or situation that demands you pay a price you shouldn't pay. It's someone asking for a favor that would compromise your integrity, or a fear that demands you stay in the village. This is your tactical instruction: do not negotiate with the guardian. You do not have to explain your expansion to those who are trying to prevent it. You just have to cross the threshold. The silver edge of your decisive direction is what opens the gate. God says, stop looking for validation and start looking for the exit from your old level. Think of a micro scene where you are standing in your kitchen and you feel this sudden, sharp confusion. You forget what you were doing. You feel a heaviness on your mind that makes you want to go back to bed. This is atmospheric suppression. It's like the jamming signals used in electronic warfare. The enemy is trying to jam your connection to the Father. God says when the jamming starts, don't try to think your way through it. Sing your way through it. Pray your way through it. Move your body through it. The physical act of movement breaks the static. This is your weaponry, the kinetic break. Hear this: the expansion is not just about you. It's about the territory you are reclaiming for the King. Every time you expand your business, your influence, or your spiritual authority, you are evicting the darkness from that space. This is why the warfare is so personal. The enemy isn't just mad at you. He's mad that he's losing real estate. God says you are a territorial general. I am giving you the silver edge to redraw the maps of your family, your community, and your industry. This is your confirmation. The pushback you feel is the enemy retreating. He's throwing everything he has at you because he's losing his grip. God says, look at the patterns of your life. You've noticed that every time you get close to a breakthrough, the same old problem crops up. The same type of person enters your life to cause drama. The same type of financial leak happens. This is the loop mechanism. The enemy tries to keep you in a circular battle so you never make linear progress. But today, we are breaking the loop. The steel gray discipline is to recognize the pattern and refuse to engage the way you did before. If you always defend yourself this time, stay silent. If you always fix it this time, let it stay broken. Break the pattern to break the loop. This is your confirmation, and the expansion class life requires a new set of rules. You cannot live by the rules of the village and expect to conquer the continent. You need a higher level of ethics, a higher level of discipline, and a higher level of surrender. The uneasy air you've been breathing is the air of a new world. It takes time for your lungs to adjust. Do not mistake adjustment for affliction. You are just learning how to breathe at this altitude. God says, I am expanding your capacity for the air of the Spirit. Hear this: the silver edge of your purpose is getting sharper. You are starting to see exactly why you were born. You are starting to see that every restless year was actually preparation. Every hunger was a prophecy. God says, I am connecting the dots for you. The deep purple of discernment is showing you the thread of gold that has run through your entire life, even the dark parts. This is your confirmation. Nothing was wasted. The dissatisfaction was the pull of the future, and the warfare was the confirmation of the call. We are stopping here mid-arc as the escalation reaches its peak. You are standing in the middle of the shaking, but you are standing with steel-gray resolve. You have identified the mirror trap, the bait of false urgency, and the identity anchor. You are ready to cut the lines. The next phase of this protocol will show you how to seal the victory and walk in the clean victory pattern. But for now, hold your ground. Do not shrink. Do not apologize. You are an expansion class vessel, and the ocean is waiting. Stay armed. Stay vigilant. The command has been given. We move at dawn. The dawn has arrived, and with it, the steel-gray clarity of a soldier who has survived the night and now stands on the hill of victory. You are no longer reacting to the shadows. You are the one casting the light that defines the terrain. God says the clean victory pattern is not a life without challenges, but a life where the challenges no longer have the power to displace your peace. Think of a master musician who has practiced a piece so many times that even if a string breaks mid-performance, they continue without missing a beat, integrating the new sound into the masterpiece. That is you. You have integrated the warfare into your expansion. The friction has become your fuel, and the resistance has become your rudder. Hear this: the enemy is no longer trying to stop you. He is now trying to keep up with you so he can find a way to distract you. But your pace is now set by the Spirit, and his legs cannot carry him where you are going. This is the discernment key for your new level of expansion. The difference between a divine door and a demonic bait is the aftertaste. A door from God will often feel heavy with responsibility and may even trigger a steel-gray sense of sobriety, but it leaves you with a deep purple sense of peace in your gut. It feels like work, but it tastes like home. A bait from the enemy, however, will often look shiny and easy. It will promise quick relief from your restlessness or hunger, but it leaves you with a metallic taste of anxiety and a restless need to keep looking over your shoulder. God says, look at the fruit of the opportunity before you take the bite. This is your confirmation. If the opportunity requires you to shrink or hide your hunger to be accepted, it is not a door. It is a cage. An expansion class vessel only enters doors that are wide enough for its full hull. Consider the micro scene of your new walk. You walk into a room, perhaps a boardroom, a church sanctuary, or even your own living room, and the atmosphere bows to your presence. Not because of your ego, but because of your alignment. You are no longer leaking energy. You are no longer asking for permission to exist. You simply are. This is the clean victory pattern. You notice that the mental static that used to hit you in social settings has been replaced by a silver edge of focus. You hear what people are saying, but you also hear what they are not saying. You see the unseen pressure they are under, and instead of being infected by it, you neutralize it with your own steel-gray stability. God says you have become an atmospheric regulator. You don't just endure the climate, you create it. Hear this. The silver weaponry of truth has finally cut through the generational ceiling that kept your family in a state of just enough. You've wondered why the hunger in you felt so violent at times. It was because you weren't just fighting for your own expansion. You were fighting to break a frequency that has been broadcast over your bloodline for decades. The frequency of safety, the frequency of don't make waves, the frequency of settling. God says the shaking you felt in past two was the sound of that ceiling shattering. You are the first one in your line to breathe the thin air of the high places. Do not feel guilty for the view. This is your confirmation. Your success is the repayment for the struggles of those who came before you. You are carrying the baton into the territory they only dreamed of. There are those among you who recognize that this armory, the strategic intelligence, and the weaponry provided in this place is the very thing that has kept your hull intact during the seismic shifts of this season. To protect this sanctuary, to keep the steel gray gates of this armory open so that the next wave of the remnant can be equipped, we establish a recognition seal. This is how we ensure the supply lines remain unbroken for the Army. The fastest way is super thanks. This is not about the amount. It is about the alignment of your resources with the frequency that fed you when you were hungry. When you sow here, you are claiming your place as a sustainer of the guard. Use the code word armed and then comment the word done followed by your first name. Now listen, because the final seal is being applied to your spirit even as you move. God says that in this clean victory phase, He is giving you the scribe's pen to rewrite your internal narrative. You are looking back at the micro scenes of your past, the failures, the rejections, the too much moments, and you are seeing them through the deep purple lens of divine strategy. You see that the rejection was actually redirection away from a pond that was about to dry up. You see that the failure was a stress test to see if your hull could handle the pressure of the ocean. Hear this, you are finally at peace with your history because you finally understand your destiny. The silver edge of truth has carved a path through your memories, and all that remains is wisdom. This is your confirmation you are no longer a victim of your story. You are the author of your future. Let's look at a micro scene of the final seal. You are standing in your home, and you feel a calmness that is almost eerie. There is no noise in your head. There is no irritability in your spirit. You look at the more that you have been craving, and for the first time, it doesn't feel like a desperate need. It feels like a planned arrival. You have moved from seeking to expecting. This is the state of the expansion class vessel at cruising altitude. You are no longer straining to grow. You are simply allowing the expansion to manifest. God says the heavy lifting is over. You have survived the scramble and the ascent. Now you are simply occupying the space I have cleared for you. This is your 24-hour action protocol to lock in this shift. Within the next 24 hours, I want you to perform an act of physical ownership of your new territory. It could be as simple as clearing out a drawer that represents your old small life, or as significant as making a steel gray decision about a business move or a relationship boundary that you've been hesitating on. As you do it, say these words out loud. I occupy this space. I accept this expansion. I am the general of this territory. God says that when you combine a physical action with a spiritual declaration, it creates a seal that the enemy cannot break. This is your weaponry, the kinetic seal of the remnant. Hear this. The hunger you felt at the beginning of this journey has not disappeared, but it has changed its form. It is no longer a painful ache. It is now a sovereign pull. It is the engine that will keep you moving from glory to glory. You are no longer afraid of the hunger because you know it is the voice of God telling you what is possible. You have become expansion class in your thinking, your speaking, and your doing. The steel gray realism of your life is now matched by the silver brilliance of your hope. This is your confirmation. The world will now start to respond to you differently because you are vibrating at a different frequency. You are no longer a guest in the world. You are an heir of the kingdom. God says, I am closing the door of the past behind you, and I am locking it with the deep purple key of my providence. You cannot go back even if you wanted to. The small life would now feel like a straitjacket. Do not mourn what you have left behind. The people who couldn't come with you were ballast that you had to drop to reach this altitude. Bless them from a distance, but do not descend to accommodate them. Your expansion is their sign that there is more, even if they choose not to follow. This is your tactical boundary. You owe the world your fullness, not your shrinkage. As we move toward the final closure of this protocol, feel the thickness of the peace in the room. This is not the quiet of an empty room. It is the density of a presence. The unseen pressure you felt at the beginning was the weight of the glory trying to find a place to land. It has landed on you. You are now a bearer of the weight. You are stable, you are sober, and you are steely. The silver edge of your spirit is gleaming. You are ready for the mandate. You are ready for the continent. You are ready for the more. God says, I am sealing your mind against the return of the static. I am sealing your heart against the return of the guilt. I am sealing your hands for the work of the expansion. Hear this, you are my chosen remnant, and I have found in you a vessel that is willing to be stretched. Because you did not break in the shaking, I can now fill you in the expansion. This is your confirmation. The feast is being prepared, and your appetite was the invitation. Stay in the steel gray discipline of the Spirit. Stay in the deep purple discernment of the Word. Stay armed with the silver truth. The strategic scribe has finished the report. The divine general has issued the orders. The atmospheric palette of your life is now complete. Look at the world through your new eyes. See the opportunities where others see obstacles. See the growth where others see chaos. You are the anchor in the storm and the pioneer in the wilderness. God says, walk out your front door today, not as a seeker of blessings, but as a distributor of the kingdom. The expansion has begun, and it shall have no end. This is the end of the protocol, but it is the beginning of the expansion age for your life. The perimeter is set. The guards are posted. The king is on the throne, and you are his strategic scribe in the earth. Take a deep, steady breath of this high-altitude air. It is the breath of freedom. It is the breath of victory. It is the breath of the more. God says, well done, my good and faithful soldier. The territory is yours. Go and possess it. Stay steady. Stay armed. Stay expansion class. The signal is clear. The way is open. Move forward in the name of the one who called you. This is your final confirmation. The seal is set. Amen.